I'm now going to introduce to you a gentleman that I think at the end of lunch you're all going to say, that is one of the most exciting, powerful men we have ever heard. When Lisa and I were first planning the spring charter meeting, we got out our lists of people, our wish list of who we'd love to have. And I mean it when I say the first two people that came to my mind were Dennis Prager and Lady Thatcher. And good things happen to good people. The Lord is looking out for us because they both accepted. I met Dennis Prager in La Jolla at a National Review Institute conference, and I just liked his face. And I said that to him. I said, I said, I really like you. He was sitting at my table, and he says, why? I said, I don't know. I just like your face. He's such a decent, incredibly wonderful human being. And while we were having lunch, he said, I've got some very good news for you. He said, and I'm quoting, I'm going to be on a nationally syndicated TV show this fall nightly. Dennis has a radio talk show host right now on KABC in L.A. So all of those of you like Pauline Nafsker who live in L.A. can hear him. But to think he's going to be on television daily at night is pretty wonderful. He's the author of many books and a quarterly journal called Ultimate Issues. Dennis passionately believes in right and wrong. And I think my children will identify with that, because I always used to say to them, this is right, this is wrong, there's nothing in between. He encourages humans to be citizens and to be accountable for their actions. He is exacting and demanding, and best of all, he is inspiring. He's one of those rare individuals who makes you want to strive to become a nobler human being, and he truly is a Renaissance man. Ladies and gentlemen, I am thrilled and honored to introduce Dennis Prager to all of you.
Gay, thank you very much. It is very difficult to speak after an introduction like that from Gay Hart Gaines. It's I don't know how I can compete, how I can match the statements she made about me, so I will just hope that I come close, and that lumping me in the category of Margaret Thatcher will actually not have been regarded as hyperbole, but actually have some degree of legitimacy. I want to get to the matter at hand immediately, because I would like to have as much time for me and for you to pose questions, comments, and give brief alternate speeches at the end. I would like to describe to you how I understand the culture war in America. There is a culture war. What has been lacking generally has been a description of exactly what it is. I've spent the last 12 years speaking to people in Los Angeles on talk radio there, now in New York as well, and I've learned a great deal. In fact, I thank God for the opportunity to have been a talk show host. You speak to everybody. Everybody calls you from every background. And I have learned an immense amount. The fruit of that learning is what I want to offer you today. What are the philosophic, moral battles of the culture war? So that you will be able then to understand, it won't be hazy, hopefully, after this talk. That's why they think the way they do. Oh, now I understand. I might add one thing. I spent a great deal of my time criticizing liberalism. But one of the things that I learned, it changed my ability to be a good talk show host into, I think, an effective one. And that was, I understood very early on, but not from the beginning, I hasten to add, that those whom I disagree with most passionately are as convinced of their sincerity and goodness as I am of mine. If you don't go into the culture war understanding that, you cannot be effective. That is why the issue to me is, and it always was, this puzzle. If I am intelligent and I want to see a better America, and those I disagree with are also intelligent and also want to see a better America, how come we differ? Then it clearly cannot be intelligence. I'm not smarter or stupider than my opponents. And it clearly cannot be idealism. I'm no more or less idealistic than those I disagree with. Well, then what could it be? If I think clearly, and if I'm intelligent, and if I'm sincere, and they are too, why do we have such a culture war? And that's what put me on the path to understanding, well, because we begin from different premises. When you begin from a different foundation, you could be the finest builder on earth. You will build a different building than I will. Liberals are building a different building than I wish to build. But one must understand the foundational differences in order to understand what the differences are. That's what I'm here to try to do today. What are, in fact, the different philosophic or even emotional bases from which we proceed? In no order of importance, but number one might be the most important. One aspect of the culture war, one part of the battle is those who believe people are basically good versus those who believe that people are essentially flawed. If I only had 3 minutes, I would probably have to pick that as the single greatest difference. Do you know, I found out early in my talk show career that all I had to do in some debates with callers was say, wait a minute, why are we debating this? It's silly. I know exactly why you think that, and I'll tell you exactly why I think opposite. Do you think people are basically good? And the caller invariably would say yes. I say, well, that's why we differ. You are completely logical based on your belief, and I am completely logical based on my belief. I don't believe people are basically good. I don't believe we're basically evil either. I believe that we are a torrential, difficult creature called human. I believe what Judaism and Christianity have taught, that we are essentially flawed, but we are also created in God's image. We are a battle, if you will, if I may lapse into theology, my original field for a moment. When God says in Genesis, let us create man in our image, the best translation or the best interpretation of whom God was talking to I ever heard came from an Orthodox rabbi I once heard, said God was talking to the animals. And it struck me as a brilliant point. We are in fact created in the image of two beings. We are created in God's image and we are created in animals' image. You can almost identify the battle in life as which image will we decide to live in, God's image or the animal's image. And that's what we are. We're a difficult creature, we human beings. Torture is as natural as love. When you understand that, it's difficult to, it's unromantic, but when you understand that, you don't ask, why did he rape? You don't ask, why did he mug? You ask, how did we create a society with so little rape, such little mugging? Mugging is natural, as much as loving is. If you start out from that, you come out with very different views of life. The liberal view in America in this culture war is overwhelmingly predicated on the belief people are basically good. You can almost translate 90% of liberal positions emanating from that belief. If we're basically good, then why do we commit evil? Because society screwed us up. That is why. Why is there so much emphasis left of center on fixing government, fixing society? Because the belief is the individual is pure and good. The individual doesn't need fixing. Society needs fixing. I come from a totally different view. The entire Judeo-Christian world comes from a different view. The primary area of battle for a better society is the individual, not the society. You can tinker with society endlessly if the individual doesn't